Kevin Durant is one of the greatest players of this generation. Being a 4-time scoring champ, 10-time All-Star, Rookie of the Year, MVP, 2-time NBA champion, and 2-time championship MVP, it's hard to argue that Kevin Durant isn't an all-time great. The man has had some controversies, such as leaving the Thunder after blowing a 3-1 lead in the Western Conference Finals, and then ultimately joining the Warriors, but regardless, KD is a force. Kevin Durant is a great scorer. Whether it's on the fast break or a catch-and-shoot three, he's dangerous from wherever he is on the floor, which is exactly why he's known as one of the best scorers, maybe of all time. Aside from his rookie season, he scored 25 points per game in every one of his 12 NBA seasons. And through these high-scoring years, he's ended up as the 36th highest scorer in NBA history, totaled at 22,940 points. So where could Kevin Durant end up getting on this list? Durant will be 32 by the start of next season, which means he's still got a couple years left in him. The tough part for KD is that he suffered 2 injuries in his career, one at the age of 26 with the Thunder, where it was a season-ending injury, and another injury last year in the NBA Finals against the Raptors, therefore having him miss the entire 2019-2020 season with his new squad, the Brooklyn Nets. Although these 2 injuries have caused Durant setbacks, he's still soldiering on to prove all his haters wrong on Twitter, and that's what I like about Durant. He's got a chip on his shoulder, which I think maybe means he'll be playing for a long time, as he can continue his dominance and maybe one day be considered as one of the greatest players of all time. My prediction is that Durant will end his career in 8th to 3rd place on the all-time scoring list by scoring about 30,000 to 35,000 points. For Durant to accomplish this mark, he's going to need another 7,000 to 12,000 points, something that is in his reach if he plays another 4 to 6 years. For Kevin Durant to reach Julius Erving in 8th place with 30,026 points, Durant could average 25.3 points on 70 games for the next 4 seasons, where he'd be 35 years old. This is very doable, as Durant's career average is 27 points per game, and he's remained pretty consistent throughout his career. Considering that he played on a Warriors team with the Splash Bros, which averaged 20 and 25 points per game respectively, KD may average more points now since he's on a team that will need a little bit more help scoring. Playing 70 games per season won't be difficult for Durant either, as he's played about 76 games per season throughout his career, aside from his injury season in 2014 and the NBA lockout in 2011. When looking at what it would take for Durant to pass Michael Jordan in 4th place with 32,292 points, I think it would take about 6 seasons, where KD could average 70 games per year on 22.2 points per game. KD would be 37 by the end of that last season, so this all depends on how long he plays in the NBA and how much of a decline he sees through each season. So because of this, we'll take a little deeper dive into what these season averages could look like. Looking at the guideline to break Jordan's record in 5th place, his average for the next 6 years is 22.2 points per game on 70-game seasons. Seeing this chart, the season-to-season average would look something like this. Next year, at the age of 32, he'd have to play 75 games with 26.6 points per game. The next season after that, he'd have to play 73 games with 24.6 points. And every single year after that, he gets 2 less games per year played, while also averaging about 1 or 2 less points per game. And then ultimately, by the time he's 37, he's playing 65 games per year on 17.3 points per game. It seems pretty reasonable that KD could achieve this mark. The only problem would be if he got injured again, which in that case, you could increase his points per game a little or games per season, which would still be doable. If you're wondering how KD could reach Kareem the Dream in 1st place, it'd be quite a difficult task. He would have to average 75 games per season on 22.9 points for 9 years. And yes, I'll break down that situation for you as well. Looking at this chart, for the next 3 seasons, he'd have to average 75 games per year, while averaging about 25 or 26 points per game. And then the next 2 seasons after that, he'd play 70 games on 23 and 24 points. And then at the age of 38 and 39, he'd have to play 67 games on about 22 points. And then at the age of 40, he'd have to play 65 games on 21.7 points per game. This scenario would be extremely unlikely, not specifically because the points targets would be too difficult to reach, but because the amount of games played for those amount of seasons would be really hard, especially since Kevin Durant has a history with injuries. Also, since I think LeBron is going to pass Kareem's record, which I made a video about that I'll link at the end of this video, it seems even more unlikely that Durant will reach his mark. Comment below where you think Kevin Durant will end his career on the all-time points list.